Before we begin today's conversation, I want to say something. This episode is different. My guest today isn't just somebody with an incredible story. She's in fact my cousin. For years, we lost touch due to a relationship built in manipulation, control, and fear. What you're about to hear isn't just another story about surviving abuse. It's in fact a story about identity, resilience, and above all, forgiveness. Discovering that hope can still exist after some of life's darkest chapters. If you know someone who may need to hear this conversation, I encourage you to invite them in because sometimes hope begins with a single conversation. Welcome to the Datitude Lounge. It's going to get real in the garage tonight. I have Noelle Gagne. How you doing, Noelle?
Hi, good. How are you?
So let's tell our audience we do have a long history, but before we get into the heavy stuff, we need to rewind the tape. And I want to know who was Noelle before life got complicated?
It's a pretty good question.
Right off the bat.
Now, are we going as a child or are we going before when I'm growing up? Is it when I'm growing up or is it
I don't know. Did you grow up yet?
I'm not sure. Because that question's kind of tricky.
Well, we're gonna go into some stuff about how your past relationship was defined. So it must have had something to do with your upbringing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I asked this question in this way because complications can be right from the get-go.
Yeah.
I want to know how your upbringing was. So who was Noelle before we even got to know each other?
My upbringing was pretty good. We're millennials, so they call it. So we're bedroom kids. My parents kind of live the type of life that I'm living now. My husband's gone. My dad was gone. My mom was the caretaker. I'm the caretaker. So it was good, but it was lonely. I was a bedroom kid. I stayed in my bedroom. I did what I had to do in my bedroom. I wasn't really supervised. I wasn't directed. I wasn't beaten or anything. We were the type of kids that got to stay out until the lights came on.
Yeah.
We were riding our bikes in the neighborhood in a complex with no supervision. So my life was good, but it wasn't how I'm raising my kids now. I wish it would have been better. I wish it would have been more directed. I wish there was more communication between my parents and myself and my brother, because I think how I am today would be different if that would have happened.
I know exactly what you mean, and you already touched points that I want to get into. So, millennials, we're like borderline Gen X,
Yeah.
and we were raised by boomers. So, coming home when the street lights came on, being very minimally supervised, those were the days, man.
Yeah.
Those were the days where we were able to build a profound integral sense. We had independence. We had to build trust with our environment. So
Yeah.
that's not wrong. But once again, you're saying loneliness, like very little supervision. That was all me too. So I am going to break the ice and tell everyone that your dad and my mom are brothers and sisters. So you lived hours away from me. I didn't get to meet you until I left the nest, which I was still very young. So I didn't know what your household looked like, but I knew your mom and dad and I knew what they were into and whatever. It was just like the typical kind of family to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it wasn't that bad, you know? And I said, like, let's get into the heavy stuff. Let's rewind before. What did that do to you now that you're a mom? And we'll get back and forth into that, but now you're a mom. And so how much are you playing into the same types of upbringing for your kids that you had? What are you bringing into this picture now?
I'm not raising bedroom kids open that are opinionated, that can tell me when there's something wrong, that don't have to leave a room when there's adults speaking, that can sit in the living room and play without feeling like they shouldn't be there. I
Yeah.
didn't get that. And I wish I would have gotten that, because not that my parents and I weren't close, but I think it would have made us closer. Even as I got older, I think it would have made us closer. hoping that's what it's gonna be like for my girls, is that because they're allowed to be around me and around my husband and stay with us and communicate with us and express their feelings, whether they're good or bad, that they'll be able to have that trust with us and that comfort with us when they get older, hopefully.
right? And have like the emotional intelligence. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
Like I was craving emotional intelligence before I even knew what it was. And
You're
you're right
constantly
about
on.
like not being able to talk. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know.
yeah,
I was constantly told I didn't know how I felt. You don't know how you
yeah,
feel. You don't know what you're
yeah.
talking about. Speak when you're spoken to.
You gotta ask for a snack. You gotta ask for everything, and, my kids go into the fridge, they take well, they try to take what they want. They're small, but, they know what they want because they're allowed to know what they want. They're allowed to ask for it. It's like being on constant survival mode. I don't know how long of my life I've been on survival mode.
Yo, that struck a chord. Fight or flight from the
Yeah,
time we were
complete
yay high, man.
and that
So,
shouldn't
like,
be.
that no, you shouldn't be at
No,
all.
no.
What was your like, because of this, and this is where we're gonna start having fun. What was your teenage years look like? And how much trust did you have in yourself, granted the lifestyle and the upbringing you had?
Okay, so my teenage years were good. High school, I hated high school, I'm gonna be honest. There's probably a lot of people that hated high school. I hated not learning what I wanted to learn, but the
Yeah.
whole teenage years were awesome, sort of, because I could put myself in a situation, excuse me, I could put myself in a situation, say like a party, and I didn't get peer pressured. So everybody else is, doing ecstasy, they're doing all these different drugs, they're smoking marijuana, they're drinking. I didn't get into that peer pressure. You know what I mean? That's normal. It's every high school student goes through it.
I was saving this one for later.
Great.
I should probably apologize now for all the ridiculous things I pulled you in. When you were still in high school when I came rolling up and
Yeah.
all these parties and whatever, you're like, I didn't get talked into it. Yo, man, you're the one who talked me into some stuff and I talked you into some other stuff. I remember that specifically. So, there might be a fib or two in this show. I'm not cutting this out either. This is gold.
No, don't. I don't want you to. And you know what? You know what? Honestly, I cannot remember a situation where you ever put me in danger.
Never.
Never.
Right?
I can
Never.
never remember a situation where you told me to do something that I shouldn't do.
No, no.
It was I'm gonna there was one guy that I dated for 10 years that has ruined all my relationships except for the one I'm in now. Was right? He got me through, and some of this stuff will be shocking to you, cuz which I know you don't know. I went from being quiet, being reserved to having only a few friends in high school. And then I met my one boyfriend in grade 10, and he put me in even more of a survival mode where I didn't know myself. I did drugs, heavy duty drugs, but also got myself off those drugs. No one knew except for our close friends, my close friends. My parents didn't know.
Yeah.
My
Typical.
cousin didn't know.
What,
um,
me?
yeah,
No, so are we talking about Matt? Okay, I might not know no last names, but I know who
yeah,
that is.
yeah. Okay, so he put me through a lot,
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
through drugs, through abuse, through mental, not so much physical thought of what love was. My teenage years were okay. If I would have made better choices in the men I chose, they would have been 1,000 times better. Hopefully, maybe.
So let me stop you right there. We only reach for what we're comfortable with. And
Yeah.
I know your household wasn't physically abusive. I think I know that that wasn't physical, but what about the mental and emotional abuse? Because if you're going to allow something to go through your own life, wouldn't it have been a normalcy somewhere else, like indirectly? Tell me about that.
So, my mom, I love my mom. She was a good mom, but with my dad being gone and him drinking a lot, when he did come home, she was always on edge. She was always angry. She was always anxious. That
Say
is
less. Say less. She's already walking on eggshells. So your dad was like setting off if he had a bad day or
Wait,
whatever. He
yeah,
needed a drink. Okay, so that's
yeah,
my household. That's my household. I understand that.
and that's probably a lot
And
of people's house, right?
well, that's the problem. Like when you need a substance, and I'm just going to classify it as such, it could be any addiction. We all have some. Still to this day, we all have some. And when it's a substance, like you're relying on it to conclude the next hour of your day, the next chapter of your week. Alcohol was just always very destructive in our bloodline. Sadly, it had to do with your father, because I knew your mom, she liked to hit that chiba,
Oh, yeah,
you know?
but that
Yeah,
kept her
well,
calm, though. If she
exactly
did
what I was about to say. You never freaking what like
ugh,
I'm happy being sober these days, but I never smoked this government weed we have, but I never smoked weed and wanted to go burn a freaking city block down. It was always love,
yeah,
fun. I was always a protector. I'm very happy that you mentioned that because that's primarily what I was known for. If you
mhm,
were with me, you were safe.
yeah,
And that goes way back and even through my adventures right now. You're safe here. And so like the thing that bothered me the most, and that's why I had my mind go off like, what did I do wrong to lose my cousin? Because I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. So I had to facilitate these know-hows. I had to facilitate these reasons well, I'm like, it must be me because I'm till this day, and this is what I preach. I take responsibility for everything. I take accountability for everything. And if it's on my mind, it's my fault, right? So like if you do that in every aspect of your life, you take responsibility for a mess up or an endeavor or a goal, it's on you so you can change it. If you're pointing fingers at somebody else, you can't change that. You're
yeah,
stuck there, right? So that's the thing. So if I would have known, I would have helped you.
I know.
Right? I wanted to help you. I would have helped you. I could have helped you, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
I got friends with backhoes, man.
Yeah, you could have totally, if you were in my life, you could have totally said, like, "Listen, I'll help you," but then it's me, right? Like, you
Yeah.
could have said,
No,
"Oh, I wanted to," but it's my choice, right? Like,
at the end of the day, you're right. You're right. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Woulda,
yeah,
shoulda, coulda.
but it wasn't your cross to bear, like, you didn't do anything wrong. It was my fault. I should have been stronger. I should have known better, but, you know,
Yeah.
when
And that's why I brought it back to your parents. Like
yeah,
knowing better, you let this and these are 2 cases that it slid from one extreme to an even deeper extreme.
yeah,
And that was also a choice. So
yeah,
this is what you had to repair. This is why we're here. This is why we're on this show right now. But before we get that out, what do you remember most about us back then? Because we had some good memories. That grade 10 and Matt and the parties. All I remember is your significant laugh.
yeah,
And I was always busting jokes. You're always laughing, you, your friends. And I got to thank you because I moved away at 16 and a half years old, never looked back. I didn't
yeah,
bring my friends with me. I came out and made friends. And I made friends through you. You made friends through me.
good friends.
Like it was beautiful. So, yeah, really good friends that are still here
Yeah,
today. So,
yeah.
what do you remember the most about us back then? Bring that up.
I would have to say you coming to the school and picking me up in your what is it, a yellow Cavalier?
Goodness. Yeah, it was a Z2 floor.
That was my favorite, picking me up in that car and whipping around Kitchener-Waterloo with that, driving downtown.
So much undeclared dollars put into that car.
Yeah. That's the thing I think about, and
The
it's
freedom we had.
yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was carefree. You didn't have to worry about nothing. You didn't care. like you drive in this really nice car, you're together, you have somebody in another nice car pull up beside you and you're like, "Let's go." It was fun.
See, I want to offer that to my kids. I know you want to offer that to your kids. Excuse me. Is that there was no breaking the law? Like maybe there was breaking the law, but
No, it wasn't. We
whose
did
eyes?
I don't even think I think maybe we got pulled over once, but that was, that's hearsay.
You were lucky. It was only once while you were with me. Okay.
That's all I can
I was
remember.
constantly racing that car. I got so many tickets, but what I meant is like maybe we're breaking traffic laws. I was breaking traffic laws all the time. But I mean, you could trust people.
Yeah,
We could run into a guy you'd race, shake his hand after, go to the beaches.
yeah,
Like we were going from town to town to town, just enjoying the tunes, enjoying that sense of freedom. And I didn't know that you were healing your own miseries at the very same times that I was, because those are the best moments of my teenage slash childhood slash pre-adulthood. I
yeah,
love driving.
yeah,
Excuse me. I love running cars. I still do to this day. I like my toys and whatever, and I'll never forget those days. And when I talk to Ian, those
yeah,
days still come up. You know,
yeah,
and Ian is one of our guys that, excuse me, he's been a buddy of mine since I first introduced myself to KW. He's still a friend today. Noelle knows him very well. A really, really good cat.
yeah,
He's a really strong dude. And those are the foundations that we've built that I seem to think a lot of us can't build today. Our youth won't be able to experience that because it's online, there's cyberbullying. There's no concrete way to build these relationships.
yep.
Looking back now, let's start with Matt and then going into your next relationship. Because that transition, I remember the text 2011. You're saying, set me up with one of your boys, man. I'm finally gone from this guy.
Mhm.
You know, and I was looking at this a couple days ago, like, really? That was the last message
And
that
I
we
can tell
actually.
you I can tell you who I got set up with. I don't know if they're gonna be watching this video or not,
No, are you talking about the most recent faux pas? No, you know what? I think I knew. I don't know.
but
All right.
but
So looking back, when you want to know how many times this man, he still like he within the last year, he called me up and he's like, "Yo, remember this person?" I'm like, "Yeah." How in the world did you end up? He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I met this so and so at this so and so place, and turns out she knows you." I'm like, "Yeah, I used to know her very well. What are you doing with her?" "Well, I was here and I met her there." I'm like, "Why, dude? How is my past like creeping up on me like this with through you all the time?"
yeah,
This guy's hilarious. I love him. He's my boy. He was a part of my wedding party too.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, just like homeboy, homeboy.
yeah.
So
He's a
tell
good
me,
guy.
when did you first notice something wasn't right? Because you're clearly making the same decisions, and you knew. I got to mention this before you go on. There's not a chance you didn't see the red flag.
Well, with Matt, I didn't. I didn't at the beginning because I'm young, right? It was actually my first long relationship. So I didn't really see the signs because I don't know if I want to use the word immature, or new.
Juvenile.
Juvenile, sure, yeah. It was my first love, but it was like, I didn't see them right away until a couple years after, where I started to get to know who I was and what I didn't like and what I did like. And, as we grow, we evolve, we change, people change. So he was becoming an alcoholic, which I didn't like. Then it turned into verbal abuse. Then it turned into cheating. And then made me insecure, which then went over into my other relationship, went into John. So when I got out of the relationship with Matt, I don't want to say broken, fragile, didn't know who I was. My identity was gone. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I disliked. I really didn't know anything because I didn't know who I was because I wasn't allowed to find out who I was. I was with a person for 10 years that I took on their characteristics. And when I went to John, I pretty much was just looking for somebody, right? Because I didn't know what I wanted. And the first thing that attracted me to him, which is really stupid, was I had I you know how I used to have my hair shaved on one side and then it was long on the other? Well, I used to have those, those little shaving things in the head, right? It was the trend, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. So he had it. So I commented on his picture and then he fed me a whole bunch of lies, which I found out later. Like he was like an addictions counselor and he didn't smoke and he didn't drink, which he didn't drink, but that was one truth. He fed me a whole bunch of lies. And then when I got to meet him, because he lived 2.5 hours away, I had to drive to him because he was a bum. I found out small snippets as the relationship went on. And then again, I lost myself again because I didn't know myself getting into that relationship. So that went in deeper into not knowing myself, going deeper into survival mode that I never got out of. Then there was abuse. Then there was financial abuse, emotional, a mental. I never got out of it.
So none of it is fun. And you, you seem to attract, not you and, but you in general, like people.
Yeah. No,
We
I
always
seem to.
attract. No, but I'm no better. I've realized throughout all the same motions I go through, it took me a few. I realize I'm doing the same things over and over again. But if I had an excuse, I already knew I couldn't be trusted. I didn't trust me. And I never started asking the right questions until the last 10 years of my life. So you can't be that hard on yourself. But where I was going with this is you obviously can look back now and you realize you didn't allow yourself to heal. You needed to be with somebody. You needed that affection. You wanted that validation. You were young. You wanted to feel special.
Mhm.
And we attract the same things we're used to and what we're comfortable with for those very purposes, right? So don't hate on yourself for wanting to be loved or wanting someone to officiate your value for you and love you for that. That's
But
what
then
happened.
it goes back to now, this goes back to your question that you asked about childhood, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a bedroom kid. I didn't get communicated with. I got shown love, but not like how we show our kids love, right? So I
Right.
was never shown it. I was
Right.
never taught how to communicate my feelings. I was never taught how to address things, I wasn't taught it. So how can I bring something into a relationship that I was never taught? And
You weren't even shown.
no,
I know. Like that's just it. We are teaching our kids by showing them,
yeah,
being the proper example. We didn't have that.
no.
Man, I saw ashtrays fly across and like in the wall, you know what I mean? That's what the love I saw, love for smoking and drinking and like
Yeah, get out of my face. I'm sitting here. Go play. It's
right?
like,
Yeah, go play in traffic, go fly a kite.
yeah, yeah,
Man, I love those days. I still got the kite.
yeah. So how are you supposed to bring all that stuff? Like, yeah, I wanted to be loved. I knew better, like
Right,
I
we did know though.
I knew better, but I wanted someone to love me for me, even though it was in the wrong way, you know?
Even though we didn't know who me was.
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
And you're right, like, it's been about 10 years. It took me about 10 years to actually figure out, even though I was still in the last relationship, 5 years into John, I realized I don't like this. I don't like who I am. But I still stayed. For what? I don't know why. But slowly I started to learn who I was, my hobbies, my habits, but I still lost friends, and I still became isolated. Like I isolated myself because I didn't
Yeah.
want people to know what I was doing, what was happening.
We develop the best of our characters in isolation.
Yeah.
And you probably you're describing yourself in the same fashion that I was in. In order to find out what you do like, you have to go through everything you don't like. And sadly, when you're not educated, you make the same mistakes. And I say educated as in we weren't taught emotional intelligence, how to decipher feelings, how to channel our own emotions and everything like that. So we like every family has been dysfunctional in the 80s and 90s. We did, the Gen X thing, there's no joke. We were on stainless steel merry-go-rounds and busted up swings, man. Like my community park growing up was the same park as the Terminator 2 Judgment Day park at the beginning. It's on fire and shit. That's the life I grew up in, and I was bullied as a kid all the time. I was beat up all the time, but that made me tough. I can take a hit,
Yeah,
So there is benefits to that, but there's
yeah,
also a large amount of baggage that we carry, not even knowing. It's never been our baggage to carry. This that we've just been describing, this doesn't happen overnight. You said 5 years. It took you 5 years to realize that it was destroying you, and another 5 years it took to leave.
yeah.
And that's I need to touch on that because a lot of females, a lot of women, a lot of guys will be watching this, and there's gonna be an officiated point of notice.
Yeah.
And so whether it be a red flag or whether it be a little intuition moment, what was the moment that flagged you? Where you knew like, man, I got to get out of here. And that's step one. I'm not being treated the way I'm supposed to be treated. I don't feel good. I'm not feeling loved. I'm not okay with this. What was that moment?
That's that's the obvious feelings, though. Those are the obvious feelings. The
Yeah.
one that people don't recognize is codependency. Is, okay, so I'm gonna use myself ex for example. I was told by him that he has no family, he doesn't have anybody to love him, he can't work 'cause of his anxiety, those types of things, okay? So then I'm the type of person that I am, I'm an empath. I give myself I'll give all of myself and give myself nothing back to help you. So that's where the codependency came in. It was but I didn't realize that at the beginning. I was like, "Oh, he's by himself, he doesn't have any family. I can't leave him. What if I leave him and he has nobody, he has nowhere to live. He doesn't have a job. Where is he gonna go?" And this played in my mind, which really I shouldn't have cared about because like you're not treating me right. You're disrespecting me. You're cheating on me. You're financially abusing me by not being able to work when you're a healthy, capable, grown man and you can work. Codependency definitely is one of those secret things that people don't recognize because they think that they're helping them when really they're not. And it's unhealthy. So yeah.
There must have been like some traumatic events in his life.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna rewind to Matt. Matt from what I can remember, he had a pretty good
He was a
home
spoiled
life.
rich kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then you reverberated to a broken, complete opposite, but yet the same effect that you got from him and worse. So like crazy.
Both
Now,
narcissists.
yes, yeah. One was silver fed and had the same, in retrospect, had the same, I shouldn't say kingdomship, but he built his own righteousness.
Yeah. Both of
And
them did.
both of them did, but out of a different perspective.
Yes.
One was out of sheer silver spoon, and the other one is sheer survival. Crazy. And so the entire time you're saying that, I'm like, man, I would have loved to been able to help him. He never gave me a time of day. And even 25 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I was still always about making a good positive outcome or a first impression last. I never met John. I didn't know. Right. But nonetheless, that's how I think. I would have been like, yo, I want to see why this guy's like this. I would have pinned it right away.
Yeah.
I may not have been able to help, but I would have definitely been able to help you. Just
And
at
that's all it
least
is.
that's all it is. That's all it is.
You wouldn't have been able to help him. I tried to help him. I gave him everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
So let me say this way. What would I have done? Because you've seen it done with me. What would I have done if stage five clinger girls pulled the same stuff on me? Because they did, right? I knew those women were broken. Like you can't manipulate me with your emotions and what am I gonna do now? I don't care what you're gonna do. We ain't staying here.
Yeah.
Right? Like you had that strength. I had that strength. When I see weakness, I don't feel good saying that right now because of who I am. Now, back then, when I saw weakness, I'm not carrying your baggage for you. I'm sorry. I'm a lone wolf. I've been a lone wolf. And that's why I never trusted myself. And well, there's many reasons why I didn't trust myself. It wasn't shown, but I wasn't going to carry somebody else's baggage because I'm having a hard time, like, you know what I mean? Even
Sure,
telling
no.
times. So I put my foot down, you know? But that's where I know you can help the women who will be listening. If we help one, we've done our work, right?
Yeah,
Because you cannot have this codependency. And
yeah.
bottom line, when it doesn't sit right, it's not right.
It's not right. You gotta try. Women have the strongest intuition. You know
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
say if you feel it in your gut, go with it. It's not just something, it's not anxiety, it's your soul telling you to do something. Leave, leave. I wish I would have trusted my gut. There was tons of times where I should have trusted my intuition. I would have been gone long ago and I would have been happy. I don't even know where my life would have went.
So that's it. How many times? Because I can tell you 100 times where my intuition saved me
Yeah,
and 5 times where not listening destroyed me. And those
yeah,
5 times, I'm still healing. This is what we're here to do. This is what we're here to do because there's gonna be some young girls, and that's the sad reality,
yeah,
is that even today, even though, like, you were a bedroom kid, I was a neglected I had love. I don't wanna say it was neglected as a whole, but because the unity was broken, I wasn't receiving in unison. I was receiving like from one or the other, and it was fake. It felt fake, and that's sad, and I'm sorry. But the young girls that are growing up in the scroll world and the swipe right, everything is quick, quick, quick. You will make mistakes that much quicker. So you
yeah,
need to get out of even
yeah,
quicker than how fast you got into them.
yeah.
But because you said that women are the nourishers, they're the cherishers, they're the nurturers, it's instinct to want to save your partner, want to save the
Yeah,
man.
we wanna help, we like, especially for me, like, I wanna help.
Yeah.
That is my instinct, that's who I am as a I don't just wanna cast something aside. I always think that I can change something or make something better, but sometimes you can't, and you have to live with that. You have to accept it.
So you can accept it now because with acceptance comes grace. And you learn we're older. And at the very least, out of that message, that's what we can share is that no matter what you go through, if you accept, you'll get grace. You'll forgive yourself at one point.
Yeah, you have
But
to live and you have to learn.
when this was happening, what disappeared from your life? You said it took 5 years to realize you're like, shoot, how much of it disappeared from your life? And this is what's going to help our audience, the friends that you lost, the family that you weren't talking with, the confidence that dissipated within you, the freedom that was non existent, you were now shackled, the laughter that was missing,
Yeah,
the identity that was non existent.
gone. All of it gone.
Which one of
All of it.
those did you go through? Every
All
single
of it.
one.
Every single one. Every point that you just said I lost. I lost everything to the point where I all I did was go for a walk with the dog. I didn't socialize. I didn't text anybody. I didn't go and drive and meet somebody at Tim Hortons and have a coffee. I didn't go and meet a friend for dinner. And the reasons being was because I didn't want that. I didn't want to be questioned. I didn't want to be accused. So I chose to lose all this because it's, it was easier. It was easier to lose it all because then I didn't have to get home and get the 21 questions and then and then those 21 questions that I answered are all lies, which they weren't. So it's easier for me just to keep myself isolated. It was easier for me not to talk to my mom because my mom and mothers know, right? They don't even have to look at your face. They listen to the tone of your voice and they know, what did he do now? What's going on now? Just come home, pack up your stuff. And it's like, no, 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 no. And then you don't want to talk to your parents anymore because you don't want those questions from them. You don't want to, and you think that you can fix it, but you can't. You know, it was, she knew, man, and he's destroying you. You can't even see your friends no more, your best friends. You can't go out and do anything. You can't even come over and have a coffee with me anymore. And it's like, and in my heart, I'm breaking and I'm screaming. I'm screaming, and I can't tell her. And if one thing I could say is don't be silent. Don't be silent.
Our
Yeah.
moms were just doing the best that they knew how. God bless you both.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. She knew friends that were bad friends. She knew even before I knew not to go to parties. And I should have trusted her because that's her grown intuition, right? That's her grown going through things because she went through hell as a child too. Yeah, brutal things as a child. And, like, I talk about how bad not how bad of things I went through, but she went through worse, so she knew when she had us, like, "Watch out for this."
So like your mom, when we carry fear, we're like we carry it. It's an energy. It's a force not to be reckoned with. And God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of a sound mind. And it's because if we carry fear, if we live in fear, then it's sin. And it flows through us down to our spawn. You inherited not the fear at the beginning, but the will to explore it,
Yeah,
not knowing, unwillingly, and ended up not as bad. Thankfully, for your mom's sake, it wasn't as bad as your mom, but you still knew enough to get away without having it get so bad. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah, you're right.
And our job as parents is to just leave our bloodline and leave this world a little less messed up than how it was left for us. Like,
Yeah,
really, we're doing a good job if it just ain't as bad. Okay,
just a
but
smidgen.
just a smidgen better of a human, not a total disgrace.
Yeah,
But that's the thing. I chose to completely break the cycle for my family. I was the
yes,
last name left. I didn't want any kids. I even went as far as asking my wife if I could take her last name. But this is before I had reconciled with my father. Now I wear my name proud, and I have two boys to keep it going. And she wants another one. She's like, "We're gonna get a girl." I don't think so.
uh-uh.
I'm just gonna make a freaking male army. Like, I don't know. But what mama wants, mama gets, and I'll be happy nonetheless. My wife had the same, her ex was just as bad. She was misled, mistreated, cheated on, manipulated. Her
Yeah,
mom, when we were describing her mom's feelings, my mother-in-law was describing the same feelings for my wife. I'm so happy she's home.
yeah,
I didn't know what that meant, but I know now. I know what home is.
yeah,
And it's not a place, it's a feeling.
yeah,
She's
I
proud of
know.
you now.
She would be, and I feel it all the time, like, I see it. I feel it in the small achievements that I have. I can't even think of one right now, but I know she would be. And the funny thing is, my youngest was supposed to be born on her birthday, but because I had a C-section, it was a week before. So it's like she is her, you know?
Maybe, maybe.
She
And then
knows she knows, right? Like, she sees everything that I've gone through. I know she feels it. I know she does. I know.
it's our memory, it's our emotional track, our memory and our love that keep them alive. And this is the beauty. You know who Neville Goddard is? He's an old author. I'll introduce you, but we're not going to get into that right now. But he explicitly explains that our imagination is what creates life, and him in one of his books, one of his lectures, he speaks specifically about the past life and how our memories and our imagination keep them so vibrantly alive and with us. And it's beautiful and it's true because like time is not linear, you know, past, present, and future it doesn't exist. I'm gonna bring this up. One of the hardest things for me was losing contact with you at that time. My mom had just died and I had nobody, you
Yeah,
know? I really could not trust anybody. I really lost everything when my mom died
yeah,
myself. My brother went nuts. I still don't have a relationship with him. He's snapped. And like I pray for him. I want things to be different. We both promised our mom. It's still not working. Anyway, that was the hardest part for me. Man, and we did not share this. I'm sharing this with you live.
sorry.
I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I know now what you were going through.
I know, but we were so close and it should have never happened that way. It should have never, but
I know.
sometimes things happen for a reason.
Had to. Always. There is no coincidence in how God plans our steps.
Yeah,
There's no coincidence. We need to embrace that because God works in mysterious ways.
yeah,
There's no shoulda, woulda, coulda. This is just an expression of what I was going through at that time. I now know, and I've forgiven you, but within the last 5 years, I've forgiven myself, forgiven you. And you deserve to know how I felt then.
yeah, and
And
I
I'm
appreciate.
sorry you're going through that.
Yeah.
I'm not like that anymore, but I wouldn't have taken it. I would have wanted to help you quite aggressively, I might add.
You
You
know,
know,
yeah, and that I would have let you.
you wouldn't have had a choice. Yeah.
But you know what made me have closure with it is a year before John and I split up, I decided to go to the mine. And this is my closure. This is how I make myself feel better. This is how I live with it. So I worked a year at the mine and it just got worse. Even though I wasn't home, it was worse. And the fighting got worse. And every time I came home, it got worse. And when Darren came into my life, it was like God was giving me doors. He was opening up doors, right? And I kept slamming them, kept slamming them. I didn't, I wasn't ready to walk through a door, right? When he showed up, it was like he became my friend. He showed me how it was to be loved, to be talked to be treated, and even just as a friendship, right? And then I remember one day laying in bed. No, I wasn't laying in bed. I was at my desk and it would just like smash me right in the face. And it was like, go through this door, because if you don't go through this door, I'm not giving you no more doors. If you don't go through this door, you're going to regret it. And I could hear it in my brain. I could hear it. And it was yelling at me, take it, take it, take it. Just take it. I'm offering it to you. Please take it. So I remember picking up the phone and I said to him, we're done. I'm out. I can't handle you no more. I'm packing my stuff up the next time I come home because I was on a 2 week. I worked 2 weeks. I was off 1 week. We're done. He cried, he begged, he pleaded, and I just thought, we're done. You're out cold turkey. I remember hanging up the phone with him and my shoulders dropped. It just felt like, ah. I could breathe. I know that when I go home, I don't have to see your face. I don't have to listen to you no more. I'm free. I'm free. And it was such a wonderful feeling. It was like angels had lifted me up and just flown me through the clouds. And knowing that I didn't have to go into that house, I didn't have to fight no more. And I told Darren, I was like, I'm done. I'm free. That was a new chapter. And I won't go back.
You know, was that I gotta ask, the door, how metaphorical was it and how physical was it? Like at that very moment, was that our father talking to you?
Yeah, completely.
And was it
It was,
audible?
yes, it
Amazing.
was in my face.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was like
Amazing.
screamed at me. It screamed at me. My thing is when I ask for a sign or for direction, I ask for a door. That's my thing, right? I ask for a door. Give me a sign, give me a door, give me a push, give me a feeling, give me a door to walk through. And he kept screaming me, this is your door, walk through it, this is your door, take it, just go. and it was in my ear, it was in my brain, it was in my heart, it was in my stomach, it was in everything. Every piece of fiber, every energy that I had, it was there.
It's amazingly it's that's freaking beautiful, and let me dissect this because our listeners, the girls that are hurting, the women, the men that are protrusive, the men that are hurting. You, at that point, you have been broken. You have been chewed up. You have been drained. You were rock bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And now the only time you hear Holy Spirit speak, or when you don't even know and you want these signs, the only time you will hear it is when you are at rest, and you weren't willfully at rest. You are beaten. You had carried your cross.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And thank you for letting me use that. But you were beat down.
Mhm.
You couldn't think anymore.
No,
And
I
then
didn't know what
your
direction I was
breakthrough
gonna
came.
go. Yeah,
I'm emphasizing this because regardless, as I looked at the screen, it was 10:43, like 1:10:43 when I said that's just my epiphany. That's it. But that's how it happens. Okay. So you had to go through that to be able to trust yourself. Look how much it took.
yeah.
Don't ever give up.
No, if you
Don't
think
ever
you're
give
weak,
up on
you're
you.
not. You're not weak.
You
You have to pray more, you have to ask more, you have to ask for a sign, you have to ask for something, be
know?
at peace, with your brain, with your mind, with your heart, with your soul. Ask for something, ask. And when you feel it in your stomach, that's your intuition, that's your take it, go, run.
All these years of abuse, and that's what, and you know what? I'm sharing this too. That's how it was for me. I was done
Yeah.
living that same rough path, that same life. Definition of insanity. I was done too. And that's thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I just
You
wanna
know,
point
'cause
out that I think Darren is my soulmate, like you say that Cynthia's yours, because I never felt that with any of my other relationships. I never felt that feeling. I never felt that urge, that God's voice. I never felt that with any of the other relationships until he came along, and it's just kinda weird because it's like he
well, you weren't ready for him if you wouldn't have went through, like, you wouldn't be so appreciative of Holy Spirit, of God's presence, or even of Darren's nature if you wouldn't have been pushed through the trenches the way you had
Yeah,
emotionally. You wouldn't have been
yeah.
able to appreciate it.
No.
It wasn't your
No.
time. Even though you're still breaking patterns and cycles in your own family bloodline, it's still, and that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love how you just shared that. I gotta say it again. Leaving was the hardest part, and that you broke the chain. And the entire time, the anticipation of wanting to leave was
And
there from 5 years to 10,
not knowing how to leave.
not knowing how to leave. So, like, that was the hardest part. But the moment you were at rest and you were like, this is it, that you were told, it became so easy.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what I want to share. I've had enough. Oh, and you're falling for the manipulative story or the crying and the whining. Even if you walk out, then not even being comfortable and you're capable of walking out, you're still going to get the same benefit. Maybe not as profoundly. It won't be an epiphany, but the hindsight will be 2020,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And like, I can't wait to meet Darren. I can't wait to speak with him. He saved my family, right?
Yeah.
Saved my
Yeah.
family.
And he didn't even know. He just walked into my life and didn't know anything, right? He just thought he was befriending me and then realizing all the stuff, people telling him and me telling him, and he's like, "I'm glad I stole him from you." And it's like, "Me too. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my office and showing yourself and, you know"
Starting off as a friendship, like I can share that with you. Cynthia and I, we were fed up with the egregious nonsense we're putting ourselves through. Yeah, we were blaming our past situations because we weren't matured, we weren't grown, we weren't responsible for our own decisions. We've realized that throughout the 11 years we've been together is we've allowed it to happen to us. We made these decisions. But it's good that you facilitated the friendship first, the contingency of working together. It's a unity,
Yeah.
but you have to be friends if you want to enjoy your time together
Yeah,
in
you
the
have
new
to know that you
relationship.
can hang out with
Yeah.
each other, right? Yous guys have to be best friends before you can you still my best friend even though,
Did you ever know me to chase a woman?
no.
I chased Cynthia for 9 months straight before we can even go out on a date. And she was driving me nuts, driving me nuts. I would call my buddies. I don't know what she wants. She's tagging me along. I could not read this girl, and that's not like me.
Yeah.
I read girls through and through at the time. I'm no player or pimp, but I could not read her out.
Yeah.
And and it was her mom that once she let me in, her mom was telling me she'd talk about you, and she's the one who said, "I want to meet this guy. Why don't you bring him around?" She's like, "Well, I don't know. You might not like him. He's full of piercings. His name's Gino."
Piece of pop.
I think I won her mom's heart over first.
That's the way to do it though.
Yeah, but then that flourished from that point.
Yeah.
That allowed her to open up because we were just friends. I knew I was in love with her from the day I met her. That never happened. I knew my life had to change the minute I met her.
Yeah.
I knew there was so much work ahead of me. But I wanted to have a show with her. She's not ready. She's not ready for the questions I'm about to ask her because I go deep. And I wanted to, just like you're comfortable, feels like a conversation, but yet I'm including my audience, whoever that may be. Like I said, if we can change one person, we've done our job. If we can help one person, we've done our job. And she is so scared. She's so beautiful, but she's so scared. Beautiful here, right? I wanted to make her my co-host for these types of shows, and it can flourish into that. So we're on healing. It's a complete shift now. But I'm going to ask, what was different? Even though you just answered that, it flows with what felt safe. You weren't used to this feeling. You weren't used to the communication. You weren't used to the acceptance, but yet it was still a healthy approach. So what felt safe? What was different?
I don't know, it was just a feeling. It was just an all-knowing. It was like his energy.
Yeah.
His energy felt safe. He just felt safe. Like the way he talked to me, the way he interacted with me, everything just felt safe. It just felt
Safe is a good word. What about loving?
yeah, it just felt right.
It's good.
Like,
So,
it just felt like it should be there. I should be here. It should be this is what it should be. This is what should be happening.
and like, do you think everything you've been through had to happen for you to recognize?
Absolutely. Yes.
And if some girls or some women are listening to this, would this not be something where if this would have happened to you 20 years ago, you would have not accepted it because the good guys always finish last,
Yeah.
right? Was this guy you wouldn't have wanted 20 years ago?
No, I wouldn't have. No, because when you're young, girls always want the bad boy, they don't want the guy that treats them nice, that buys them flowers, that opens up their door, that takes them out for dinner. They want the guy that like puts them down, like why? Why do we want that? They want the guy that like is not the bookworm, that's not you know, the smart one. They're the guy that goes out and parties and drinks and drives fast and, wears a leather jacket and,
Well, I was that guy, but I was also opening doors and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I know, but
don't twist it up here, lady. No, so am I right by saying that if your father would have treated your mom that way growing up, would you have not taken a different path?
if I would have seen how my girls interact, how my girls see me and Darren treat each other, if I see my parents, I wouldn't have accepted that, what I went through. I wouldn't have, because then I would have known that's not right. That's not what a person should feel. That's not what a relationship is. That's not what I would have been able to see those signs, those red flags a lot earlier on in life.
And you wouldn't want your daughters going through what you did or what your mom had to go through.
No, because if my daughters ever bring home a boy that, like, I brought home, he won't be leaving this house.
I got friends and I got backhoes, guys. Like, and that's the sad reality. Maybe I was different, and I'll say it lightly, but I wanted to be the bad boy because I had too much teddy bear to cover up. I was broken. I
Yeah,
had to fixate this image because someone could have walked all over me, and so it really it threw me off when I was labeled as such. So then I just lived it. Double identity. I didn't like it,
yeah,
but I had to play it because I
yeah,
was, and so these are two sides of the coin. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't like I would know what to look for in this man,
mm,
but instead of worrying about one daughter, I have everybody's daughter to worry about. Well, no, like my boys see exactly how I treat their mom.
yeah,
And it makes all the difference in the world. So even though it's two sides of a coin, we're still ending with self-love, self-care, love for one another,
yeah,
respect for one another, self-respect, trials, like honest discussions, debates. My kids see all of this, and I even pull them aside and explain as best as I can to my oldest, "This is why I'm doing this. You might not understand, but you will later."
yeah,
Anything that we discussed, I don't like just like you, I don't hold bars.
yeah,
And that's amazing. And like when we talk about this, the reason we're sitting here, you reached out to me once you were healed. You were reluctant, but it was about forgiveness. It was about surrendering. He's the man who let you heal. He's the man who wanted you to heal, gave you the safe space to heal, and then profusely asked you to reach out because it was time. And I will thank him personally and I thanked you personally, but this is about forgiveness.
what I said to you, and then I looked at Darren and he's like, "Now you leave it up to God. Like, now it's either he messages you or he doesn't," and that was the perfect one. So, that's why I commented on that one.
I didn't know I was still healing myself when I started doing attitudes in general, but this direction was always the direction I wanted to go in. I was prideful. I was like I wasn't vulnerable, but I still wanted to help because you were healed and you've forgiven yourself. It also reminded me why I was doing this. I want our audience to know. I want everyone to know that like when you're doing something that is called of you, I want to serve, leave the world a better place. I can't describe how happy you made me in your discovery, in your deliverance in one message
Yeah.
because you let it all go at that point.
Yeah, because I was the only one that commented on it.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like, "This is perfect." I could have commented on any of them. But it was like that one just popped out. That's the one that I have to, because it's pretty much what I did was it was surrender. I surrendered myself. My hands are up. I said, "Sorry, take it or leave it," but you took it, right? Like, now I have you back in my life, and you're not going anywhere anymore.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed now.
Yeah, you're
Yeah, but
stuck.
that's just it. I can't like I don't want to emphasize on it. I didn't my reach. I'm not trying to get views. I'm not trying to get comments. I know more people are listening than they are interacting, and that's totally fine. Okay, let me put it this way. When I was a kid, I came from a broken home, and that's why I was the biggest joker. I can make someone smile for 5 minutes. It made me smile, and I was using that to my advantage indirectly. It made me feel good to make others feel good, whether it was a joke or a good evening or a 6-month relationship. It didn't matter. Just perfect.
Just had to happen. You showed up. You just showed up there, and it was like I had to do it.
See, and that's no coincidence either, because we don't see what our 500 friends on our Facebook list, we don't see what they post anymore. It's always just dumb ads.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, it's just yeah, all it is ads, or you just go right to
Oh,
the
it is
reel.
ads. Yeah, another person. I just want to see my friends.
Yeah,
Right? Isn't that what Facebook was invented for?
yeah,
I've said this 100 times already tonight for the women watching, and she's in a controlling relationship. And at this point of the relationship, she knows it's not healthy. She knows something's wrong. She knows she's being controlled. What do you hope she hears? And what would you tell the version of yourself who still believed she had to stay.
First of all, I would say that you're not alone. There's always somebody there out there that thinks about you, even though you may not think it. There's always somebody. There's always resources. No matter where you are, there's always resources.
Especially now, right?
Yeah, sometimes, people are comfortable with going to shelters. That's not your only option. You don't have to just go to a shelter. There's organizations that will help you. Talk to family. Don't be silent. Just go with your instinct. Don't take it. If a guy or even a girl to girl relationship, there's always somebody there, even though you don't think it. Reach out to anybody, a teacher, an aunt, an uncle, a neighbor, somebody. Talk to somebody. You're not alone. I wish I would have communicated more with people instead of stayed silent.
It's like, if you had the ability to reach out to me personally, no ands, ifs, or buts, I would have been there. But now
I know you would have been there.
for the audience, and I brought this up into perspective because our family's messed up, and I know we're not the only people who thinks that way of their family and who feels left out and neglected from their own family. So this girl who's reaching out, who wants to reach out so bad, and she already feels like nobody will. What do you say to that? Other than there's organizations, that's super uncomfortable, super awkward sometimes.
Oh, completely.
So put it in this way, that one old friend that you don't think wants to hear from you, could that be a good person to reach out to? That one person that you lost contact with. There's always somebody's thinking about you out there, man.
Before it gets bad, before you start to lose your friends, before you
And so she realizes now that she could have walked
I
and it would
could
have
have
been exactly.
I
So
could have
do not allow yourself to endure whatever it is, even if it could be an amicable release, a breakup, whatever. It's just you're not happy. Take the initiative. God does not smite you because you're miserable or you're going against a vow or anything like that. Because the sin itself is living in fear or living in pain, living unjoyously. That goes against the God is love primarily.
yeah.
So the pain itself, the sin itself is missing the mark. It's living independently away from God's will.
So I'm gonna answer your question. So I have 2 young girls. If I ever needed at this point now to seek help, I don't have a job. I don't have an income for myself. So if I, at this point, needed to seek help, I would have no choice but to either contact a friend, contact a family, contact an organization, resources. I would have no choice. I couldn't physically do this on my own. But for the ones that have a job, have a steady income, go. Even if you don't have a good credit score or if you don't have a vehicle, go get yourself the smallest apartment, whether you have not a single thing in it, no couch, no TV, at least you have a place that's quiet, that you're away from things. Even if you have nobody to talk to, just go. You
Yeah.
may feel scared. It might be scary for a little bit, but you're free. You might not have a couch to sit on. You might not have even a dish, but if you go to some place and say, "Hey, I just escaped a relationship that was abusive, that was mentally whatever." You know how many places would say, "Hey, here, fill up a bag and take."
You know what? You're right. You're right because the bird does not rely on the branch to sustain itself. The bird relies on its wings.
Yeah.
And that's the wings you're talking about.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
It's gonna be different for everybody, right? That's why I had a hard time answering it because I had to take a couple seconds and think of different situations because my situation would be different from a female that has a job. She could just go and get another apartment, take her name off, or even a house, take him to court, Just take the house, kick him out. It might be scary, but once you do it, once you take that jump, it's like heaven. It's like an undescribable feeling until you do it.
And it's taking that first step. Am I right?
It's the first step is always the hardest, always. That
So
first thought.
Before we close it up, I want to ask you, how does a strong woman like yourself end up believing she's trapped in the first place?
Manipulation,
And so what are this there's a lot of signs. And
completely.
I'm asking like it's I don't want to feel like I'm being redundant, but I feel like so many women and men are in these types of relationships that's redundancy on its own. What's your take on a strong woman? Because you were always perceived as a strong woman in my eyes and my friends' eyes. Back then, how does a strong woman end up believing she's trapped? And 1,000 women or more have asked themselves this the same.
Years of manipulation, years of being told you're not good enough, years of being told you're never gonna find somebody as good as me. You're nothing. So then you're afraid to leave because I'm nothing. I'm this, I'm that. No one's gonna want you.
I think you just hit it on the nail. Financial.
Yeah.
Everything's based on financial and quick dopamine right now. Right now. So yeah, like and this come to me when I said the word 3 times, trapped. Immediately people think financially and that codependency in finance. So like where do we go with this question? Right? Because a strong woman usually makes her own money and still ends up feeling trapped in this manipulative circumstance. And it's usually narcissism, definitely narcissism.
So I had a quote, "Those who feed you can starve you."
They starve you. That's insane. We gotta write this down.
That was my saying. "Those who feed you can starve you." And I'm in the situation right now where Darren feeds me and he could starve me, but he doesn't.
'Cause he loves you. Yo,
Yeah.
when you look at your daughters today, right now, what do you hope they learn from this?
Don't take shit. Just live your life, be happy. If you're not in love, move on.
'Cause you know the beautiful part about this is that they don't have the same upbringing we had. And
No,
this so-called SHIT, they will be fed this and they'll come up to you and be like, "Yeah, this boy said this," or whatever. Or they start dating a boy later on, listening, and like, "Mom, he did this." That's the words of wisdom that you have for them. Yeah, that's true. You weren't
like
pushed to your
I
limit. Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know. I know the red flags now, so if they come to me with a boy that I don't feel appropriate, I'm gonna let them know. I'm not just gonna let them date.
Well, they're gonna retaliate, like, when they do. So, you have a lot of time to figure out that the follow-up questions, the follow-up comments, you have a lot of time. Well, I wanna thank you so much to have given us so much of your time, to be in the garage and to share your experience and to potentially save one woman, one girl, one man from making the same mistakes, because you know what? We were always grown. You and I both have grown into a specific type of households, and like I said at the beginning of the show, families, they're all dysfunctional. And everybody's going to make you suffer. We got to find the ones worth suffering for. And that was a motto of mine. There's some long suffering, and that's biblical. And that's what we can endure, but we have to have a proper reasoning of righteousness or kingdomship that goes with it. It's conviction. And so I thank you for sharing that story of hope. And I know that a lot of it's going to resonate with the right individuals. And that's what I need to thank you for once again. So thank you for sharing your time and the energy and coming back in my life. And I'm sharing that with the world as well. So no further ado, you guys like this episode, please share some comments, share some love, share the videos, even subscribe. I don't even ask for that. It doesn't bother me. But follow along and you will see more diverse conversations. And we're reaching from normal people with all walks of life who have something to repair. And let's get it straight. Everybody is carrying something worth repairing. So
Mhm.
until next time, see you in the garage. The garage door is always open. So just pull right in. Take care, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Noel.
Thank you.